Hi, I'm Jenna Moline and I'm with Front Range Equine Urgent Care. This is Dakota. We're going to go through today with you how to do kind of a basic TPR and why that's important for your horse and you at home. So one of the things when you are doing a TPR at home with your horse, which a TPR stands for temperature, pulse, and respiration, but we're also going to be asking you questions about the gum color and whether they seem tacky or moist. And so a really easy way to look at their gum color is just to stick a thumb into the side of their mouth, the same place the bit would go, and pull that lip up. Then if you have a horse that is pretty shy or has been dewormed a few times and is worried about it, you can use your thumb, push on that mucous membrane there, and see what it looks like. You want to put pretty good pressure on there, and when you release, you should see it blanch. And you're going to count the number of seconds that it takes for it to return to good, nice pink color. If you have any questions about what a capillary refill time, you can always practice that on your thumb. And if you push on your thumb, it'll blanch white and then return back to normal color. So that's one of the things we are checking with these guys. A normal capillary refill time should be less than 2 seconds. If it's over 2 to 3 seconds, we're pretty worried and we're going to want to just kind of change our game plan. If it's less than 1 second, we still might have some dehydration and some other things to chat about, but it just is a good piece of information for us to know. So everyone should have a stethoscope at home. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You will find that sometimes those $20 ones from the drugstore can be a little bit funky to use. But the big thing that we always see is when you go to listen to them, you can see how the stethoscope has these 2 earpieces that are pointed. You want, when you use your stethoscope, those earpieces should point forward. If you put them in backwards, you won't hear anything. And so you always want those earpieces to be faced forward. And I'm only going to put 1 earpiece in so I can kind of talk to you and explain things. The other thing is, if you have a stethoscope with 2 bells, the small side is meant for like children and for small things, versus the big side is the side we want to use when we're listening to our horse. So when we go to listen for their heartbeat, sometimes it's a little bit hidden. Their heart actually sits right behind their shoulder, kind of underneath their elbow here. So sometimes you actually have to ask them to bring that left foot forward so you can get in there. And then sometimes you still really have to kind of squeeze your stethoscope up underneath there. Easy, buddy. When you're listening for the heart, it's going to be nice and slow in a horse. So a normal heart rate for a horse can be anywhere from about 24 to 40. When we're having you listen at home to the heartbeat, to me, this is one of the more important things that if you're comfortable doing at home, can give us a lot of information. If the heart rate is really high, so anything really over like 52, I'm pretty worried about what could be going on there. And I'm going to want to get there as soon as I can, start getting some information going so we can find out what's going on with your horse. If the heart rate's low, there still might be some colic or some other things going on, but it's usually a little bit less painful if their heart rate is low. So when you're taking their heart rate, an easy way to do it is we want to always know, right, the beats per minute. We don't expect you to sit there though for a full minute and count. And so if you have a phone or if you have a watch, you can count for 15 seconds while you're listening to their heart rate. Multiply that by 4, and that's a really easy way to get a quick heartbeat. On the horse, you're going to hear ba-dum, ba-dum. It should be nice and slow like that. And so sometimes when you're listening to them and you're learning how to listen to the heartbeat, you just want to hear those 2 beats and make sure that you're counting that as 1. Okay, so then we're going to go to listen for their respiration. The horse actually should have a really low respiration rate. And sometimes it's easier to listen to them. Sometimes it's easier to take a step back and look at their abdomen. And so when you're taking a step back and looking at them, one really easy place to look is kind of that abdomen going into their flank region. You should see it kind of contract up and down. And sometimes you really have to sit here and pay attention. A normal respiration rate on a horse can be anywhere from like 4 to 20, just depending on how relaxed they are, how good of shape they are. The other thing you want to take a note of when you're taking their respiration is the effort behind it. If you've ever seen a horse with a heave line, and they have this massive exertion every time they take a breath, that's abnormal. Whereas if we look at Dakota right now, I mean, he's breathing really nice and slow. There's not a lot of effort to it. There should be, because he's not been working out or doing anything hard today. So we should have a nice low respiration rate. And then when we go to listen to this, horses have massive lungs. So I like to kind of take and draw a line basically from their withers down. And then if you find their last rib, if you draw that big triangle there, which he's shedding out so we don't have a good, I don't know if you can quite see that on the video, but anywhere inside that triangle is going to be their lung fields. It's going to be easiest though if you kind of concentrate for the middle of that lung field. So if I were to listen to his respiration sounds, I would want to listen about a hand's width on Dakota behind his withers here. You can move around as well and listen to different spots within that triangle. And it's always important to listen on both sides. Listen on the left, listen on the right. Even though horses have this massive lung field, it's not abnormal if you don't hear anything. Because their lung field is really big, sometimes we don't really hear much when we listen to them. When you listen though, if you're hearing crackles or pops, and sometimes you can hear some gut sounds, so that's fine. But if you're hearing things that sound wet inside those lung fields, or if it sounds really congested, those are going to be things that we want to notice. But for you, when you guys are calling us with emergencies, we really want to know their rate and their effort. Those are going to be the big important things. Okay, the last piece that we're going to go over here is taking their temperature. In horses, we do take a rectal temperature, and we really don't want you to use mercury thermometers. If you still have a mercury thermometer or a glass thermometer at home, I don't recommend using it, because if you have any issues, that's kind of a disaster waiting to happen. And so just the general plastic thermometers do really well. I actually do like one with a little bit more rigidity to it, but you can buy the ones that have a little bit more flexibility to it as well. Doesn't really matter. Same thing, it doesn't really matter if they're the quick ones that are, a couple seconds. The only part that matters for is how long your horse is going to stand here. Whenever we're taking the rectal temperature on a horse, I do like to hug up really close to them. If your horse were to kick or have an issue, if you're standing nice and close to them, they have less of a chance of getting force, versus if I'm standing away from the horse like this and it kicks, it has time to really put some force behind that and do some damage, versus here it's just going to kind of push me off. So I do get really nice and close to them. I grab the tail with the opposite hand that I'm going to use the thermometer, and I try to use the thermometer in the hand that's going to come across their backside of their body here. Pull that tail towards you, or you can push it away, either way, but I find it easier to pull their tail towards me. I will take and I will look, find where that rectum is, put the thermometer in, turn your thermometer on, and then you kind of have to stand here and wait. And Dakota's a really good boy. He's standing here pretty perfect. If they do move, you just try to move with them. But be safe about this, guys. I mean, this is definitely something we want you to practice and get your horse used to it. And that was as quick as that one was. His temperature today is 98.5. That's pretty normal. Anything really under 101 to 101.5 is normal. And so if you go to take a temperature on your horse and it's above 101.5, that's again where we want to have that information. Above anything though, be very safe when you're taking their rectal temperature. And like I said, this is something we would really like you to practice at home, because in a case of an emergency, it's really important to have that temperature. And then it's also something that every time we come out, we're going to want to take a temperature. So if we can do it safely and you can do it safely, just gives us a lot more information to help your horse. All right, thank you guys for watching the video here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And then anytime if you have an emergency or have any questions about having your horse seen, give us a call. We're happy to help. And we do believe in cookie taxes around here, so we're going to thank Mr. Dakota for being such a good boy for us today. Have a great day.